Cabinet met 3 other times to discuss matters related to the budget and the plans and programs entailed in the prosperity agenda. Cabinet also released the names, as you would have observed, of some boards that were decided on, and the rest of the boards, when they have been approved, the respective portfolio ministers will reveal the names of those members. Cabinet received and approved the following annual reports: the 2015 annual report of the Early Childhood Commission, the 2014-2015 annual report for Nutrition Products Limited, NPL, Self-Start Fund annual report for financial year 2010 through to 2014-15. So that's 2010-2011, 2011-2012, 2012-2013, 2013-2014, and 2014-2015. The annual report and audited financial statements of the Caribbean Maritime Institute for the financial year 2011-2012 was received and approved, and also the annual report of the Consumers Affairs Commission 2014-2015. In regards to other matters, Cabinet has been receiving reports on the sugar industry, and it reviewed and agreed for the government of Jamaica's intervention in the operation of the Long Pond and Monimus sugar factories to protect local domestic economy and our small and medium-sized cane farmers in particular in the context of our growth agenda. It approved the Government of Jamaica intervention strategy in relation to the operation of Long Pond Sugar Factory through the Sugar Company of Jamaica, SCJ Holdings Limited, entering into an agreement with Everglades Farms Limited for the operation of the factory for approximately 3 months. B, it approved the Sugar Holdings, SCJ Holdings Limited, subleasing the Monimus Sugar Factory, subject to agreement with Complant, and that Pan-Caribbean Sugar Company will hand over the factory to the Government of Jamaica, who will, through SCJH, and the independent farming community, on the other hand, has been mobilized and is anticipated that there will be enough requests to take up the current 6,000 acres in cane. Secondly, the Cabinet received a submission in regards to the Self-Start Fund. Cabinet approved the scaling down of the Self-Start Fund in order to scale down its operational losses. In July 2015, the Ministry established a common board for the 3 entities that provided support to the MSME sector, micro, small, medium enterprise sector. These included the Self-Start Fund, MIDA, and the JBDC, which is Jamaica Business Development Corporation. The then board acknowledged that the format of the current loan program in the Self-Start Fund was unsustainable and advocated a rebranding of the lending program to the micro and small enterprise sector. Next, a submission was made for primary textbooks, and Cabinet approved the award of a contract for the procurement and distribution of some textbooks under the primary textbook program for the 2016-2017 academic year for a sum of US $1,462,360.52 to Carlong Publishers Caribbean Limited. Of interest was a submission and approval of the launch of the 2016 Vaccination Week in the Americas in Jamaica. The regional launch in Jamaica of the 14th anniversary of Vaccination Week in the Americas under the slogan, "Go for the Gold, Get Vaccinated." And this will be held during April 24th to 30th, 2016, at a total cost of $6,811,827.40, of which PAHO will contribute US $12,000, and the rest of this budget will be financed through the regular operational budget of the Ministry of Health. Cabinet was therefore asked to note that the initiative's overarching objective is to target populations with limited access to regular health services, thereby working to close the gaps in immunization and strengthen the expanded program on immunization in the Americas. Cabinet also approved the rescinding of Cabinet decision dated July 22, 2013, which approved the privatization of the St. Joseph Hospital, which will now be redeveloped to A, house the Ministry of Health's corporate offices and an administrative building, B, be a center of excellence for cancer care, C, a center of excellence for nephrology, which is the physiology and diseases of the kidneys. And this initiative is expected to save the government of Jamaica lease and rental charges of some $400 million annually. I'd like to also announce that Cabinet approved, this has been a big issue with the toll. We have approved that steps be taken subsequent to the implementation of the discounted toll tariffs for Highway 2000 North-South link from Caymanas to Ochuras, Miami Bay. The 25% discount, as you know, ends on April 22nd. And Cabinet has mandated Ministers Vaz, Henry and Chan to continue negotiations with China Harbor and its operatives to continue these negotiations for a satisfactory toll rate for the people of Jamaica. As you're aware, there has been further concerns about immigration and our relationship with the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. And we have with us today Senator Honorable Kamina Johnson-Smith, and she will come right now to give you some details as to the government's position on this matter and the way forward. Minister Honorable Kamina Johnson-Smith.
Good morning, everyone. I have to say I once attended a conference in Sweden, and in their parliament, the podium, you simply press a button and it reduces in size. And I said, no, that's a woman-friendly parliament. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, thank you so very much for coming this morning. I am pleased to have the opportunity to address you and to update you on the matters introduced by Senator Reid. Recent reports in the local media about the denial of entry into Trinidad and Tobago of several Jamaicans and their mistreatment while detained overnight pending return to Jamaica have again sparked national concerns about the relationship between our two countries, including in the context of the implementation of our obligations under the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas and the CSME. The denial of entry of Jamaican nationals and their treatment while awaiting return to Jamaica has been a long-standing issue between our two countries. We are all aware that discussions have been held before between our countries under different administrations. Many Jamaicans associate or identify free movement in CARICOM, and specifically within the CSME regime. For many, free movement is the most important pillar of the CSME regime, as it affords opportunities and greater mobility across the region. The free movement of persons under CSME is covered by Articles 45 and 46 of the revised treaty. Article 45 commits CARICOM member states to the goal of free movement of their nationals within the community. The goal of free movement of their nationals within the community. These articles cover two different regimes. One, the free movement of skilled nationals to travel to other CARICOM territories to engage in gainful employment. And two, the facilitation of hassle-free movement of CARICOM nationals, so general travel. Details of this regime are available on the CARICOM website and in booklets such as this one, which I have here. And the Secretary General of CARICOM will be visiting Jamaica next week. Unfortunately, I won't be here, but we have asked him to bring a box of these booklets. Our understanding from the reports of denials of entry, however, are that these generally do not concern persons seeking to enter on the basis of their certified skills. The current issues largely therefore concern persons who understand the treaty's stated goal of free movement to afford them a right of entry, a matter addressed by the CCJ in the Shanique Myrie case. That case clarified the rights of CARICOM nationals when traveling within the region. The CCJ ruled, I will remind, and among other things, that pursuant to the 2007 Conference of Heads of Government decision on the entitlement to a definite stay of 6 months, CARICOM nationals have the right of entry into other CARICOM countries unless they qualify for refusal under two exceptions, namely, 1, undesirability, and 2, being a charge on public funds. These two reasons, however, must be interpreted narrowly. Based on the complaints received in relation to the recent refusals of entry into Trinidad and Tobago in March 2016, some persons indicated that they were denied entry for reasons which were either unknown or unclear to them. Furthermore, the reasons given for the denials of entry are not consistent with our understanding of the Shanique Myrie ruling, which significantly reduces the discretion of the immigration officer in respect of nationals of CARICOM members who are also part of the CSME. Although we note that 98% of Jamaican travelers over the last 18 months have been allowed entry into Trinidad and Tobago, we still believe that the rate of denials, and in particular over the last 3 months, is still too high. If this trend continues, it will be higher than last year. During the bilateral consultations in 2013 and 2014, one of the fundamental issues discussed was also the urgent need for Trinidadian authorities to put in place the appropriate facilities to accommodate passengers who are not landed pending their return to Jamaica. This has not been done. At the end of consultations in 2014, Trinidad and Tobago undertook to examine all options for providing facilities at the airports for persons denied entry. They have not addressed this issue, as the mistreatment of Jamaican nationals detained in the airport continues to recur. It is evident from the written reports received from some such Jamaicans who were recently denied entry that they were not as upset about being denied entry as they were about the manner in which they were treated while detained. To sleep in chairs or on the floor, there was access to proper bathroom facilities, and little or no food was provided. Some of the complainants also indicated that they were mocked and jeered by security personnel who was left in charge of them. What have we done? As you are aware, our first step of intervention was made at the level of the High Commissioner of Trinidad and Tobago, who was asked to seek the relevant reports and conduct strong investigations into the matter. This he did. Subsequent to same, I commenced frank discussions with my counterpart, Senator the Honorable David Moses, who is the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, as well as immigration in Trinidad and Tobago. I have also written to Minister Moses at the request of Cabinet to indicate the Government of Jamaica's strong concern regarding the most recent incidents of mistreatment of Jamaican citizens, and to indicate that we are anxious to be provided with concrete, constructive solutions with specific timelines for addressing the issues which continue to plague relations between our countries. It was made clear that Cabinet is concerned that despite the level at which previous discussions took place and the positions adopted, the issues continue to recur. For clarity, the three specific concerns raised were A, the high rate of denial of entry of Jamaicans by Trinidad and Tobago, and this may be compared to the rate of denial of Trinidad and Tobago, of nationals of Trinidad and Tobago by Jamaica. B, the treatment of Jamaicans by immigration officials, and C, the lack of proper, dignified facilities to accommodate returnees overnight in the airport pending their return. I have asked my counterpart to indicate specific timelines within which his government or its agents, whether CAL or the Airports Authority of TNT, will address the matters. This letter was sent on Friday. My understanding is that Minister Moses will be taking the letter to his cabinet this week. We are hopeful that as two new administrations within the CARICOM space, our governments can set a new tone and, more importantly, a new course of action going forward. I wish also to make clear that I am in regular contact with the High Commissioner of Jamaica in Trinidad, who is working hard on this and other related consular matters. Furthermore, up to yesterday, I spoke with the Jamaican representative to the Board of CAL, to whom I had previously written, and he has committed to ensure that efforts will strongly be made by him as well. I have also formally requested that the matter of treatment of CARICOM nationals traveling in the region be placed on the agenda of COTED, which is the Council for Trade and Economic Development, which is charged with oversight and implementation of the CSME. This meeting takes place next week in Georgetown, Guyana, and the matter is squarely now on the agenda. Most importantly, in closing, I wish all Jamaicans to know that they are in the forefront of my mind with every conversation that I have and every word that I type in respect of this matter. This administration is committed to working to improve the current situation, and it is our fervent hope that the government of Trinidad and Tobago feels the same. Thank you.
Thank the Minister. Going to invite the Minister of Information back to the podium to commence the question and answer segment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Director of Communications, members of the media. I will now take 10 minutes of questions that you'd like answers for. Yes, that's Sir Gary Spalding from the Gleaner.
Gary Spalding from Gleaner.
Yes.
The two questions directed to the Foreign Affairs Minister.
Foreign Affairs, sure.
Minister, one has to do with the impending visit of the CARICOM Secretary General. Does that have anything to do with the issue at hand? And two, let me just finish the two. And the second one has to do with the reason cited under the revised Treaty of Chagaramas that the Trinidad authorities have proffered in respect of the refusal to grant entry of Jamaicans into Trinidad. That is the charge on the Trinidadian state. Do you accept that explanation from the government of Trinidad?
So let me take your first question first, and thank you. They're both excellent ones. The trip by the Secretary General coincides with these issues. It's not in respect of them, but it will be a matter on the agenda for discussions in the different courtesy calls. Regretfully, I will not be here. I will be away on official business, but courtesy calls are and with not only the Prime Minister, but with other senior members of the administration. The issue will be discussed. In respect of the reasons put forward in the immigration report, what I will say and what I have said is that just use this? Okay. You don't need me to repeat the first. The upcoming trip of the Secretary General coincides with these issues, but it was not planned in respect of them. So the Secretary General Larocque, when he visits, he will have courtesy calls with the Prime Minister and other members of the administration, and the issue will be on the agenda, but it was not the reason for his visit at all. And in respect of your second question, I'm not exactly clear whether you're asking about the content of the reasons proffered or if you're asking about our acceptance.
The acceptance.
The acceptance.
The content is really primarily has to do with the fact that they have indicated that it is a burden on the state.
Right. Our understanding is that how the Shanique Myrie decision is interpreted is that the discretion that is allowed to the immigration officer does in fact subscribe their powers under law, under their national law, and that how the discretion perhaps was exercised might not be consistent with the Myrie ruling. And as I've said before in our discussions, we actually need to find a way to move to more objective assessment, of the treatment that is being meted out and how it is, the oversight that is perhaps carried out in the immigration department. We've raised questions about the standard operating procedures as between immigration officials, the CAL personnel, and the security personnel, because it's a three-stage operation between a person being landed and being returned. 3 sets of personnel, and our assessment of the overall operation is that the treatment being meted out to our nationals is not at the level that we would wish, and there is much room, to put it lightly, for improvement.
Next question.
Yes, Carol Walker, loopjamaica.com. Minister, you said there were 98% of Jamaicans
98.01.
who were allowed entry, and that doesn't compare to the amount of Trinidad. Do you have the figures of how many Trinidadians have been denied entry into Jamaica? Because it is a popular perception that Trinidadians are not denied entry when they come to Jamaica.
Right, and so the figures that I have are for January 2015 to March 2016, to the end of March 2016. And as I said to you, 98.0 something percent of Jamaicans were allowed entry to Trinidad and Tobago, and 100% of Trinidadians who came to Jamaica were allowed entry between the corresponding period. So as I have had to explain, and while we acknowledge that it is a sovereign right of either country, the fact is that there is a higher standard, that there is a greater expectation for CARICOM nationals as they travel. And we believe that our numbers show what should in fact be a more normal approach to travel within the region.
Minister Ron Powell, RJR, gather that you made mention about the fact that you have written, or the Jamaican government has written, outlining a number of measures it wants to be addressed by the Trinidad government. Are you aware at this point in time whether any legal issues already been put in motion as it relates to this particular, whether any one of the nationals who had been denied entry, have they taken up a legal issue?
I'm not aware. We have had, as I may have put in the public domain already, we have received 4 formal complaints. And I will use this opportunity to again say to Jamaicans who have the experience of having been denied entry in another CARICOM country, if you feel that you have been mistreated or you feel that the decision was improperly taken, come forward and make a formal report at the ministry or make a formal report at the airport when you are landed. It is important that you give us the information that will help us to represent your interests and that will help us to address the broader issue. Press reports are not sufficient. While they are helpful, they are just not sufficient for us to take them beyond a particular point. And we would be grateful if you would help us to help our country.
Minister, Chad Bryan from the JIS. What can you say? What reason will Mr. LaRock be headed to Jamaica?
It's a general courtesy call on change of administration. I understand that the Secretary General embarks upon across the region. Yes. You're more than welcome.
Morning, Minister.
Morning.
Andrew from TVJ. 2 questions. Apart from our nationals being denied entry, there have also been concerns from some manufacturers here that some of their goods are not allowed to enter Trinidad and they face a lot of barriers. So has Cabinet given consideration to that and addressing that issue? That's the first question. The second question is beyond diplomacy, because you yourself have said this has been a long-standing issue. So looking beyond diplomacy, have you thought about if other means to really resolve this issue?
So in response to your first question, Cabinet is aware of the position that has been taken by members of the private sector. It has been noted. In respect of and overlapping with the second question, what I can say and what I have said to my counterpart is that as new parties to the table, while the issue is not new, we must see if we can bring action and change the tone and the results that are on the table. I think that taking a nuclear option as a starting position might not, while it might create good news, might not actually get us to where we want to get. So the approach that is being taken now is a results-oriented approach. We are giving this process time to work, and at that point, if it does not, then we'll consider if other action should be taken. But as it stands, we are allowing ourselves the space to create a new result.
Morning, Senator. Andrew from Business Access TV. 2 questions. I want to know what is the government's position on the proposal to restrict goods coming from Trinidad, as well as Dennis Strong has said that he has appealed to the government to remove CET on products coming from outside of the region, right? So I want to know if this is something that the government is considering.
So I believe I addressed your first question when I responded to Mr. Cannon. And in respect of your second question, I believe Mr. Chong's suggestion has been in respect of petroleum products and not all products, firstly. Secondly, that is actually on the agenda for the quoted meeting, which I raised earlier. And
Right. Good morning, Minister. I'm Odin from NCU. Do you think that there is an existing profiling of Jamaicans going to Trinidad and Tobago?
an existing?
Existing profiling of Jamaicans going to Trinidad and Tobago?
I don't think I should pronounce on whether there's a profile of Jamaicans going into Trinidad. They actually do have a developed process which allows for appeal to 4 levels of immigration officers before one is denied. I understand from reports which have been made to me personally, unfortunately informal reports, that there are persons of different socioeconomic groupings and different backgrounds, etc., who have had a negative experience at immigration. So this is a matter for concern for all Jamaicans, as far as I am concerned, and I am approaching it as a concern for all Jamaicans.
Good morning. Abkafit Senley, Nationwide News. Question to the Foreign Affairs Minister. Morning to you.
Morning.
You indicated that you had verbal conversation with your counterpart, Dennis Moses, as the Trinidad Foreign Affairs Minister, and you communicated concerns regarding the denial of entry to Jamaicans. As far as you are at liberty to disclose, what did Minister Moses say in relation to this matter?
And thank you for subscribing it a bit, insofar as I can say. Or as, what I will share is that he has been fairly open. He has been quite open, as a matter of fact, to discussions, and he has been working on the matter. I know that he has toured the airport as recently as Thursday to assess what arrangements can be made in respect of our nationals who are to be returned, and other nationals as well, because I will make the point for the record that the highest number of returnees of nationals from Trinidad and other islands, actually it's not Jamaicans. Jamaicans do not form the majority of nationals within CARICOM who are returned. My concern is, however, Jamaicans, and that's the context in which I approach the matter primarily. He has, so as I say, he has done a tour. He has actually met with representatives and the chair of CAL, and he has met with the airport's authorities, and as I've indicated, he's taking the letter to his cabinet as well this week. So I am hoping for progress.
During the verbal conversation, how strong were you in registering with the Honorable Senator Moses the displeas of Jamaicans concerning this matter?
I won't try to grade how strong I was. What I will say is that I was clear. Crystal.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have a couple of questions for Senator Reid, but perhaps folks may want to ask more of you.
Thank you. If I might say, I actually have a teleconference with the Diaspora Advisory Board at 11, so I am going to rush back now and excuse myself, and thank you all for your attention.
Thank you very much, Senator Johnson Smith. I think we have about 5 more minutes of questions.
Senator.
Yes, sir.
Regarding the $1.5 million tax plan, yeah, well, that's how it's colloquially referred to.
Yes.
There has been some concern in the public domain regarding whether there would be more taxes, and perhaps, essentially, to be blunt, poor people will have to be asked to stand the cost of footing this tax break. As far as you are able to say regarding the deliberations of cabinet, what is the likelihood of more taxes being brought on stream in order to fund this initiative?
What I can say is that the Minister of Finance will be tabling the estimates tomorrow, and as soon as he makes his presentation in the budget, we'll all be very clear how this very important plan will be funded in the context of the overall reform program. So what I would say to the people of Jamaica, that you have a very responsible government, you have a government that listens to the people, and I'm assuring Jamaicans that we'll all be very satisfied at the end of the day with the outcome.
By the way, question, Clifford Everald Warmington, sir, can you say to me whether he's a member of the executive? Is he a minister?
He has not been yet sworn in, so at the moment he would not be a member of the executive.
Are there plans to have him sworn in?
I believe that there have been some discussion to that effect. I have not been advised if and when that is going to take place, but I have been told that there are considerations. So I can't give you a definitive answer because it has not been confirmed to me. I just got an update that in fact he was sworn in this morning at 10 a.m. at OPM. And he'll be, yes.
No fanfare?
Okay.
That in fact is my information, which is why I asked the question. Can you indicate to us the position in which he's been appointed?
Yeah, he's been appointed as Minister without portfolio in the office of the Prime Minister.
Thank you.
And further detail will be shared with the media when I have them. Yes.
Senator Ron Powell, you had made mention of the plans tomorrow by Mr. Shaw to table. But I know you might not want to, but I'm still going to pose a question. Is it likely that the country will see new taxes?
Is it likely that the country will see new taxes?
Yes.
When the estimates are tabled tomorrow, it will show whether or not there is a gap. And if there is a gap, then the Minister of Finance will have the responsibility to indicate to the nation how the gap will be closed.
So you're not saying no?
What I'm saying is that if there is a gap, then the Honorable Minister of Finance will explain at the appropriate time how the gap will be closed. And I want to say to the media, the closing of the gap does not always mean taxes. So let us wait and see how the Minister of Finance deal with any gaps that have been identified in the budget. I just also want to say that the tax collections have been pretty good over the last fiscal year, and there are very, very good positives we expect from customs by virtue of the new system that we have implemented, and there are projections for substantial improvement in revenue collections through customs. So I'm just sensitizing you that if you see a gap, the expectation is not always about taxation, because the reform, and to be fair to the IMF reform program, it is part of what needs to happen to get greater efficiency and to plug the holes where tax leakages are concerned. So the government is not all about taxing, it's about efficiency. Well, so tomorrow all that shall be known.
Yes, Mr. Minister. Just a quick clarification. So OPM, you have now Vaz, Smith, Chang, and now Warmington. No doubt some critics would say that OPM is looking quite fat in terms of personnel.
But I wouldn't say that, but remember there's a super ministry.
I know it's all super duper.
Yes.
All right.
And he's a minister of state.
He's a minister of state.
Yes.
But can we get information with respect to, for example, Mr. Warmington's job description, that kind of stuff?
I would like to come back to you with that. The next press briefing I have, I will give you the details.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank everyone for coming out. Really appreciate it. There are refreshments outside. The statements given by the ministers will be distributed to the media by about 3 p.m. So you can look out for that as well. Thanks everyone again for coming out. Have a good day.
Presenting arms once again.